Thursday, January 12th, 2023, and we are back from our ice fishing expedition. We successfully took a 2 hour bus from downtown Seoul into the mountains where they have a frozen river and a big festival of for ice fishing, but also ice sports like sledding and such. And
Ice skating
ice skating,
and some
sledding. They
really
had like a
strange Korean sports games where they like jump into the cold water with a t-shirt and shorts and then they try to catch fish, and when they catch a fish they put it in their t-shirt.
they catch the fish with their
Yeah, and then
hands.
they put it in their t-shirt and that's how they like get points. But anyways, more on that
Yeah,
later.
that was amusing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we got there, and it was a little disconcerting that there was no snow. I mean, there was some snow in a few patches, but this was a river valley, and the valley hills, like hillsides, had no snow. So that was a
Just
little
small
a little
patches.
weird.
Yeah.
So when we made it to the main festival area, down some steps, past a bunch of just ungodly loud speakers, just shouting, I don't know what, just
Blaring Korean music
blaring
and
announcements
announcements.
and Korean music and children's choir, like 4-year-old kids chanting nursery rhyme type songs to
Really
set to like
loud.
weird jingles and stuff. Like these are loudspeakers that you could hear all the way across the frozen river, so they had to be really loud. But anyway, we went there and they said, okay, you have to go to the foreigner only area
For ice
for
fishing.
ice fishing, and they gave us a little plastic 3 foot rod for each of us and a plastic bag. It wasn't Ziploc, it was rope lock. There was a little nylon rope that you could use to seal it shut when you caught a fish. So
You
we,
bag up your fish.
that's
Yeah.
right. So we went out there, and there was all these little holes that were a few inches wide. And I was really hoping for like an igloo or a shack, where I could just sit on a
Something to sit
upside
on.
down bucket and just stare into a big wide hole. No, I was all out in the open with these little holes, and it was so warm out with the sun blazing. I was afraid the ice was going to break, but if you
Yeah, there were
looked,
like cracks in the ice,
there
but I
were,
think it was so thick it didn't matter.
yeah, I mean, there were further down the river in the Korean area. There were whole families with chairs, and like probably a few thousand.
Oh, there was tons of
There were
people. I mean,
tons,
yeah.
tons just sitting and fishing. There was no food, no drink, no smoking allowed, but people were just hanging
Camped
out,
out and
having a wonderful time with their little plastic rods that the town provides. And so we got to work with our little rods, and Shamar
you
caught
had
one.
your fishing hole and I had my fishing hole.
Yeah,
We each
she
had our
caught
own fishing
one
hole.
immediately, and then I was caught one. I caught one immediately after.
Well, no, almost immediately though. Well, listen. So we got out there with our little fishing rods, and we're putting them. You have to kind of like put the string in the hole and then like lift it, like kind of like tap it,
Bob it up and
bob
down
it
a
up and
little bit.
down, so that the little like what's it, little bait. It's fake bait, but like the fake bait will like glimmer in the
Yeah,
sunshine.
for bait, they just had a shiny little reflector thing in the shape of a fish and one of those 3 or 4 hooked
Yeah, like
hooks, like at
exactly.
the bottom. Yeah,
So when we first got out there,
no worm or
I'm
anything.
thinking like, oh man, this might take 3 hours before we catch a fish. Like we were going at it for a little bit, like 5 minutes or
Yeah.
so, and I'm like, oh man, how long are we gonna be out here? And so then I kind of just forget about it, and I turn to Keith and I start blabbing to him, talking to him about something, and I'm still holding the fishing rod, and then right as turn to him to start talking, of course, that's when the fish bites, and I'm like, oh, I got it, I got a fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she lifted it up, put it on the ice, and it flipped around for a moment, and kind of slowed down once it was on the ice. And after a while, we flagged down one of the event helpers, this old dude, and he came over and
Took the hook out of the
took
mouth,
the hook out of the mouth, and I don't
plopped it
know
in the
what did
plastic bag.
he do? Did he just take the hook out, or did he use a knife or
No, he
something?
had like a special little tool that he
Yeah,
could like grab the hook with
it's
and take it out.
kind of gruesome, but
Yeah.
I looked a little bit, but he was so fast and just nonchalant about it. And he's like, whatever, slice, plopped it in Shamar's bag, and then mine went. Actually, mine went right before he came over because it took a little while for him to come over. So then he did mine, and our tour guide person who gave us all badges, she said, "Okay, this badge will get you in to the foreigner only area, and you're allowed to catch 3 fish in your bag, and but they'll only cook one." And after we each caught one, I felt this is lame,
Well, we
or
kind
is
of
it?
felt
I
bad for the
felt bad for the
fish.
fish. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to watch something die.
Yes, we could only stomach
Mine
catching
and
one.
I caught mine. I caught. I plopped it on the ice, and it landed, on its belly. So it looked like it was kind of like just hanging out, laying down with its face forward, just vertical, its head up and everything, and with its eyes sort of blinking. And I was like,
Looking
man,
at you.
man, it looks like a pet, like a little pet fish. And after one, I was like, if
No,
we're
I
only
felt
gonna eat
bad.
one, I don't want to kill anything that I'm not gonna eat. Maybe they, take the surplus that we cook
I
or
think,
that we catch and then
yeah,
give them to other
I
people
think
or
other
something.
people order more than one. So
Yeah. So, but either way, I think killing one thing in a day is enough.
yeah,
I don't even like killing bugs.
I know
I put them
it.
out the window.
It was weird because it was like there was like a rush when the fish bit the hook, and like then I was all excited like, oh, fish, a fish, you know.
You
But then the minute I took the fish out and I saw it flopping around on the ice and trying to breathe, then I suddenly just felt horrible and I was like, oh my
I
gosh.
identified with the fish.
Yeah. Then I was just like, wait a minute, I don't know about this.
Yeah. So, yeah, boy, it was kind of a weird mix of emotions.
It
I was like,
was.
okay, I caught the fish. I'm proud of myself, but am I really?
I mean, I guess I'm a meat eater, so I eat fish regularly. I
Yeah.
eat steak and chicken. I just don't, I'm not actually like part of the process of killing the animal. So
Yeah.
it hit me differently when I had to actually kill
When
what I was
it's
about to eat.
when an animal enters my like empathetic field,
Mm-hmm.
and I like slightly bond with it and identify with it and develop sympathy for it. I think of it as under my protection in a weird way.
Yeah, you don't want to kill
Yeah,
it.
I'm like Dr. Doolittle, man.
Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah. Anyway, we took our 2 fish. We're like, okay, let's get out of here. All the other foreigners were in their various holes, around their various holes, still catching fish, and we were like, okay, this is enough.
I think we were the first ones out of there because we
Yeah.
only caught one.
We walked to the gate, and we're like, what do we do with the fish? Are they gonna cook it up? And they're like, put it in that big plastic tub where all the foreigners will put their fish in their bags, and we'll cook it up later. And so after that, we left and wandered around, and there's a weird military station. There was like a guy dressed up like a UN soldier, like the sort that we saw at the demilitarized zone,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
sunglasses and a helmet and the big uniform and everything with the shoulder pads, and a couple of other like SWAT team looking people with machine guns. And later they had a couple of soldiers with like stuffed animal heads, like dressed like cartoon characters, but they had machine guns.
Well, so they were there. I
And
mean, I don't know
I think it was like
exactly.
a recruitment thing or a
Oh,
propaganda thing.
maybe.
That's
Because
what they had, like a tent with a station in it.
and people were taking pictures with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was more of like a fun sort of thing.
Yeah,
It was, but it looks scary when we walk by.
looked weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying, imagine the Kool-Aid Man, like a big felt stuffed animal like Chuck E. Cheese, but with like an actual machine gun and kids taking pictures with it. Like it just felt really weird.
Yeah.
Uh, but I like weird.
Yeah.
Tickles the brain. And we went across the river, and the sun kept beating down on us, and I was like, man.
Oh, it was midday.
I
It was like 1 o'clock,
I
12
did
o'clock.
not need
Oh,
all those layers. I was
yeah.
walking around with my coat open, exposed to my t-shirt in this mountain town with a frozen river. Not that cold. We saw the weird sport where they had a big big pool cut out of the river, and they had all these contestants with a kind of in this pool, like a wading pool, and they released fish, and the people would try to grab I think one fish per person in this freezing cold ice water and put the fish down their shirt, which was tucked into their pants, and as it's wriggling around, they had to like
get out of
climb out of the little wading pool back onto the ice like barefoot.
Oh God, it was so cold.
They look cold, and they had an MC, like narrating everything with pounding techno music the whole time, and an audience around the big pool. It's kind of fun.
It was pretty fun to watch. I think that was one of my favorite things. I just couldn't imagine putting the fish right against my skin. Never. I would not do that. It would freak me out.
Yeah. It's a lot like the kind of thing you see on Korean TV. Mm-hmm. It's like contestants doing like uncomfortable things dressed in uniforms.
Yeah.
Like go dress as Santa Claus and a reindeer, piggyback and run through a village and try to jump over obstacles and stuff. That kind of thing.
Yeah, they have a lot of strange comedy here on their evening shows, comedy shows.
Yeah.
Things exactly like this, like having people run around putting fish in their shirts.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yep.
But yeah, so we saw that, and then there were a ton of kids doing ice skating, and there were these slides that they could go down with these like ice capade bags.
See, I wanted to go down the slides, but then I only saw kids doing it with like adult volunteers collecting them when they came out of the tube, and I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to.
That looked like the most fun though.
It looked like way more fun than killing fish. But let's see, anything else? Then they cooked the fish. Yeah, eventually we're like, okay, probably we need to go back
I'm getting hungry
for the fish because the other foreigners probably took a while to catch all their fish. So we went back, and that was the best part. I think.
So good.
Yeah, they cooked it on.
They grilled it.
Little helpers on grills. You stand around these grills with charcoal, and they bring out the cooked fish that they actually cook in the back.
They have the fish inside a foil, but I think they put it on a grill, so it's kind of like crunchy. It's so good. The head is still on it, by the way.
The fish that I ate probably wasn't the one that I caught, but it came out of the same batch of fish that all the foreigners caught. Mm-hmm. And the head was attached, the tail was attached. I ate most of it except for the face and the entrails.
Yeah.
But
me too. The skin was good.
It was kind of sweet and buttery, man. It was a pretty good fish.
Yeah, it was really good.
Really good, yeah.
I know when we first got to Korea, like some of the restaurants would serve this type of fish, and it weirded me out because I'm not used to seeing the head still on there and the tail and everything.
Oh yeah.
But I've gotten used to it. I've tried it a few times, and it's actually really tasty. They put some salt on there, and it has a nice crunch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was good. That was a good part. That was probably like one of the best parts of the day.
Best parts, yeah. But then we were getting exhausted.
Oh,
we found a cafe, and we were just struggling to stay awake.
Chowed down on some cookies and.
There's this curse whenever we go to a restaurant or a cafe and it's totally empty. The moment we sit down, people will see us and sit down right next to us and cause a chain reaction.
And then the whole place
will fill up. And sure enough, the moment we went in there, there's only like 3 or 4 other people at first. We went in there, and then boom, they sat down right next to us, even though the whole place was empty. And almost like within a few minutes, other people saw them, and then the place was full, and I was just like, oh man, I'm trying not to sleep in front of everyone. But the sun just took it out of me. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we made it back onto the tour bus, and they're like, okay, next spot, we're going to the Ice Palace.
Yes.
And let's see. What'd you think of the Ice Palace?
Well, I didn't really know what to think. I just knew we were going to an ice palace. I was actually really surprised.
It was like an airplane hangar.
It was huge.
And
like a warehouse level of big.
Warehouse level. I mean, like not as big as like a big airplane hangar.
But it was up there. It was huge.
Yeah, it was shaped like an airplane hangar, and the whole place, it was billed on our little brochure as the biggest ice palace in the world for this month. For the month in January, there's no other place that has an ice palace this big
This thing
on
was
Earth. And they said it
insane.
was made by 32 Chinese sculptors who helped do the Winter Olympics in China. So, yeah, nice. And they did a really good job.
Yeah, there were like tunnels you could go through. There were slides that you could slide down. There were stairs made out of ice. There was a bar made out of ice.
Yeah, with
Oh my
with
goodness.
booze, but you couldn't order it. There's a sign that said "Do not touch," but you can stand behind the bar and take pictures.
Yeah, and they had they had certain buildings from around the world that were famous buildings, and then they had carved smaller versions of those buildings. So that was really like
Carved
very ornate.
carved cartoon characters, carved like
Marilyn
cathedrals
Monroe
from Italy,
carved
and
out of
stuff.
ice.
Yeah, and the whole thing there were like cores taken out of all of the ice sculptures with tubes with neon lights in them, so it was like this kind of laser tag.
Neon ice palace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a trip, dude.
Yeah.
was
And
very-
it was huge. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of people in there walking.
Kids
by.
loved it. I thought it was cool too, and they said it was negative 10 degrees in there.
It was cold.
And there were little slides. I mean, not big slides, but you know.
That was definitely a slide. If you like,
Definitely a
yeah, you
slide.
couldn't walk down it. You would definitely have to slide on your bum or on your shoes or something.
Yeah. And
I thought it was really cool.
I thought it was really
I mean,
cool,
I
too.
wasn't expecting anything that big and that ornate.
and
It was
kept
insane.
going. They had
Yeah.
traditional Korean buildings. Oh, they had a big traditional Chinese garden with fake ponds.
Yeah,
with
it, like
animals,
lotus flowers
lotus-
carved out, ducks carved. I mean, there was like an old Chinese. Well, I don't know if he was a Chinese man or a Korean man. I'm not sure. Like an old wise man carved out of ice, and he was playing an ancient game, not chess, but it was something like
I
that.
think he was playing Go.
Yeah, he was playing Go. That's what it was. Yeah, yeah. So we did that, and then we think we went through there 2 or 3 times just
Yeah.
to really soak it all in. And then when we went outside, it felt like summer almost
felt-
outside in comparison to how
It's
cold
the
it was
same
in there.
feeling that I used to get when I would leave school in June when I was a kid. I'd go outside and like, summer nights, summer evenings. But it was the middle of January.
It's still winter outside, but it felt way warmer outside compared to inside the ice palace.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we did that, and
Anything else? We got some donuts, I
got
guess,
some
when
good-
we
we
returned
had
to
a-
Seoul.
we had a whole lot of cab rides and bus rides. Oh man, it took a lot of trekking to get there and back. So yeah, after all that, we're pretty exhausted, but
Yeah.
had some treats along the way. We just made it home. Gosh, not even 30 minutes ago. Just got back.
That's right. Every time we return from Seoul, it's such a relief. I mean, Seoul is so just, I don't know, bright and loud.
Noisy. There's cars everywhere.
It's like a giant.
People
It's like a giant
everywhere.
casino, just constant like electric billboards and lights, just and noise.
Yeah, even the hotel we were staying in, I think we were maybe 7th floor, so we weren't that high, 6th or 7th floor.
6th floor.
And even with the windows closed, we were on a main road, so we could hear all the cars going by. And when rush hour came, you would just hear the traffic pick up. And then at
And-
night it slowed down, but then the day it goes again.
There was no Gideon Bible
In the
for meditation.
in the hotel room.
I
Yeah.
really wanted to read Revelation like I always do. But no.
I guess. Do you think that's all Korean hotels don't have?
I haven't
Bibles?
seen a Gideon Bible in a single
Is that just an
hotel.
American thing?
I think, well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know where that's. I know it's in America, but yeah. So that was that. I mean, it was a good outing,
Yeah.
and now we're back in Yeoju. It seems so quiet here in comparison. It seems like almost silent, and I'm loving it.
I feel chewed up and spit
Oh
out.
yeah,
man.
we do. It's always takes so much out of us when we have to go into Seoul and do stuff.
Well, the fish was good. The ice palace was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to pass out or read?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
All
Well,
right, signing out.
signing out. This is January 12th, Thursday, 2023. Back in Yoju. Bye.